So did Spider-Man Far From Home suck or slap? We haven't talked about it yet, so let's talk about it.
You're all alone. Your friends are in trouble. What are you going to do about it?
Suck or slap? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think it slapped.
Yeah, I think it did too.
I think I have 2 good things to say about it, and one, not really bad thing, but I think it could have been better with. So, before going to spoilers, this is a good chaser to Endgame. This is kind of the fluffy ice cream sundae you get after choking down a big, tough steak.
Yeah.
It's nice and comfy.
Yeah.
Just like Homecoming was. Homecoming was very comfy. Mm-hmm. And it has this this genre hybrid thing going where it's like it's a teen comedy while also being a superhero movie. And
it's a teen coming of age comedy while also being a superhero movie.
Both of them were coming of age. It was like different stages in his life. Which is, it's a good way to just be like character development because he's getting older and, you know, people change a lot.
And it's interesting to see that happen because Spider-Man, all the previous movies, he's always been in, like, high school, right? He's always been a high schooler, but we've
Not
never...
always.
Not always?
Spider-Man 2, I think he's starting college.
Oh, okay.
And then 3 is he's just an adult.
Still, though, you're in those younger years, but you never really see any coming-of-age sort of stories.
Yeah.
It's all just, like, superhero, run-of-the-mill stuff.
With Amazing Spider-Man, he looked so old that they set the first one, you know, it's his origin again, and he's in high school, and it's like, look at this tall, just supermodel playing this supposed to be an awkward nerd. And then Tobey Maguire never looked like a high schooler. He was full-grown man from the beginning. I think he was like in his early 30s, supposed to play a high schooler. Tom Holland, still in his like early to mid 20s, but
he actually looks young.
I don't know about that.
I think he looks.
I think in the first one it was a little closer, but in this one he's so jacked that it's kind of like, I don't know.
That's true.
Like there's a point where, you know, he's just kind of moving stuff around, moving his arms, and his biceps are just like exploding, and it's like, wow, he's been working out with Chris Hemsworth. Yeah. Like they've been going to the same gym. Mm-hmm. I don't see that as really a problem. That's kind of any high school based starring teens thing is gonna basically just have a bunch of adults in it because that's what Hollywood is. Because kids are terrible actors. So you just kind of have to deal with it. Is Zendaya older than Tom Holland?
I think she's younger.
Is she?
I think, yeah.
Neither of them really...
I don't actually know.
Yeah, neither of them...
just guessing.
Neither of them look like high schoolers to me. Like, they particularly stand out. Especially when you see the extras who are clearly high school kids.
Even, like, his best friend.
Yeah, Ned looks way younger than both of them.
Younger, yeah.
And I don't even know if he is. But when you're dealing with adults, some people are going to look more convincingly like high schoolers than others. And when your extras all are convincingly teenagers, it's like... Ooh, let's get a little time skip. You know, let's get us out of high school. Mm-hmm. And they reestablished that he's still 16 here. So it's like, well, I guess we got a couple years before he gets out of the environment where he's surrounded by people that look way younger than him. Right. They do these in real time, and I don't think they've announced anything that's going to include Spider-Man for 2020 or maybe even 2021. Like, they haven't announced a new Avengers movie yet. And unless he cameos in something, maybe the next Spider-Man movie is Graduation, which I think would be perfect, just because I like that high school story trope, where it's like I really liked that Ned's Declassified only had 2 seasons, and it was 7th grade and 8th grade, because that's middle school. Mm-hmm. Then it was over. The environment, the tone, and everything is nice and not harsh, and very easygoing.
And snuggly.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of I'm not the first person to say this, but this reminds me of Hey Arnold. Like, Hey Arnold will deal with like some adult themes, but it's always very laid back and like very cool about it, and I don't mean cool as in like intense or dark, like it's not. Like, some serious stuff happens with, like, you know, Arnold, his parents disappeared and stuff like that. You know, he lives with his grandparents and things aren't great. Yeah. It's like, or I mean, things are good. They're not great. You know, his family situation, you know, there's a little bit of tragedy there. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's exactly Spider-Man, and this Peter Parker, like, that atmosphere it's about the same. Mm-hmm. Sticking with the homecoming tone was a good idea. Don't need to go dark and broody yet. I like how just so far off from doing the Venom suit we are. Like, never do black suit Spider-Man until we're a good ways into this.
Yeah. Can we wait?
We definitely don't need Dr. Octopus doing horror movie scenes where he goes insane and kills all the people working on him. Like, with this Spider-Man. We don't need that yet. Mm-hmm. This is...
We had a little bit of darkness, but that would get into spoilers.
Yeah. Well...
It's obviously not just all peaches and cream.
Yeah. And it kind of... The twist is that it isn't all peaches and cream. Mm-hmm. The other good thing about it is that there's a lot of stuff that I thought was not going to fit, and I thought was going to be a cop-out. And the trailers make you think the movie's going to go one way, and then it doesn't. And I was kind of disappointed in a way, but I was also relieved in another way. Mm-hmm. Because one of the trailers, like, I know we never got around to showing you the trailers, but one of the trailers talks about, it's like, oh, we're doing this in the MCU now? Okay. I'll say this after spoilers. I'll say what it was. Okay. But this movie's not exactly what you were expecting. And
I wasn't expecting anything because I never got to watch the trailers.
Well, it's kind of a good thing, in a way. As soon as it stops being what I expected, it gets way better, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and it balances the teen romance, teen comedy thing with the dark, you know, action superhero stuff throughout.
But it also brings in more balance of the coming of age sort of thing.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I think the first... this movie probably has the slowest start of any Marvel film, which is saying something because Homecoming has a pretty slow start. And I was starting to think, oh man, they're so hamstrung by all the other stuff that Marvel's about to do later that they can't really tell their own story. I was proven very wrong after a certain point where lots of story starts happening. So it takes a while to get there. But once the movie really gets going, like, the action gets way more exciting, way more intense. Like, the stakes get very, very real. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think before the midpoint, the movie feels like filler. I was worried the whole movie was going to feel like filler. Like Thor Dark World, that whole movie feels like filler that didn't even happen.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's like they fight the Dark Elves. Oh, the Asgardians have to defeat the Dark Elves. There's a war happening between the Asgardians and the Dark Elves, and it's like, that doesn't come up again. Didn't matter at all. Including the whole romance between him and, what was her name? Jane? It just...
Yeah, that just...
It goes away.
Dissipates to nothingness.
Uh-huh. So, the first half of this movie feels like it's going that direction. Thankfully, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. The first half of this movie kept bringing my mind back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It felt like...
Oh, yeah. Like we're kind of dodging canon.
Yeah.
We can't do too many important things.
Right. And then, all of a sudden, all of the important things happen at once, and you're just like, yes!
And by the end, I start to think Spider-Man's gonna be the new head of the MCU. Like,
that's what they're
originally,
what they're hinting at,
it was Iron Man. And I'm assuming everyone's seen Endgame by this point. If you didn't get the chance, they brought it back into theaters after they took it out. All the chances are gone now. So spoilers for Endgame, not Far From Home, but spoilers for Endgame. Iron Man dies.
He's dead.
And Spider-Man kind of feels like... He's not the new Iron Man. Like, they kind of... I don't know if they really get the point across very well in this.
I felt it.
Well...
He's not the new Iron Man.
They almost say he kind of is. in a way, but I don't think he is. I think he's Spider-Man, but he's the fully realized Spider-Man that can be kind of a leader and be a symbol for people.
Yeah.
And yeah, by the end, it's like...
By the end, he's not the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man anymore.
Yeah, well...
Definitely.
And I love that. I love that nickname.
I love that struggle, too.
Yeah, I love the whole thing where he's like, I want to protect New York. This is my city, you know, this is the people I care about. These are the people I know. This is my home.
I can't do this. I'm just the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, and then I love how that becomes an ironic thing later on, where it's like Spider-Man is fighting cosmic threats in the comics and later stories, but it's like, I'm just a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm just a regular guy. I'm struggling with real life things. But yeah, by the end of this, it's like, it's going to be really hard for the MCU to not be about him, which is a cool feeling. I like that. That was the feeling I got after... like the Winter Soldier. I was like, it's going to be hard for this to not be about Captain America because now he's my favorite character. So it's good to have a full cast of people that feel like they could be the main character when you're doing something like the Avengers later, which they haven't confirmed a fifth Avengers movie yet.
I'm thinking Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be a big...
Oh yeah,
fruit.
Absolutely. The stuff that they've confirmed is Doctor Strange 2, Black Panther 2, Guardians 3. I think those are the three we know.
Is probably going to have the most cameos of the
year. Well,
year.
Thor's definitely going to be in it.
Well, yeah.
And they confirmed who the villain was. The villain's Adam Warlock, which you don't know who that is yet.
I don't.
But that's a cool villain. Anyway, but yeah, the things I think it does well is the tone was really good. This has a good villain.
Yeah.
But it also has a villain that I have big problems with.
Me too.
That's the one negative.
That's one of the negatives I have.
But that's kind of spoilers.
Yeah.
I should say a main villain that I have problems with. All of the cool little, like, not really twists, but little reveals that are kind of side MCU things that happen. I loved every single one of them.
Yeah.
Like, the bigger universe stuff that happens, even though this is still a self-contained solo story, the little side stuff that you see, every single one of those I liked, and it made me excited for more movies. So, yeah, I don't think the MCU is losing steam anytime soon. Endgame gave me closure. Apparently, I didn't want closure. I want this to just keep going. I want the ride to never end.
Yeah, same.
Like, it gave me closure for certain aspects, and it's good to have some closure. But Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is so exciting, and makes me so excited for everything else. Like, I'm just hype.
Intensely.
Despite the kind of slow start.
So spoilers?
Let's do spoilers. What'd you think of our main villain, Mysterio?
I saw it coming from the beginning. I felt uneasy the whole time, and I was like, this guy is too much of a Chad. It's not going to work out.
Jakey G's chatting too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, also the fact that in the comics, Mysterio is a villain. So
never knew about that, but I could still feel it. He
well,
did a good job of making me feel like he was side glancing you, Mr.
I loved the
Mysterio.
part.
Yeah, you're Mysterio.
I love the part where he says, "I'm not Quinn, I'm Mysterio," and Peter looks at him and he's like, "Good name, I like it." Like that was Jake Gyllenhaal is so freaking charismatic.
Yes.
Like it was good to have him play someone who obviously has to be bad. Like, no one's this nice.
Nope.
No one's backstory is this clean cut. Like, I mean...
Like, if your family was killed, you'd act more like, what's his...
the
Guardian
Punisher.
of the Galaxy? What's his name? The big...
Drax?
Drax.
Yeah, you'd act more like Drax or the Punisher.
Or the Punisher.
Yeah, you act extremely damaged and vengeful and mean-spirited.
Like, this is for my family!
Yeah.
Yeah.
But...
I saw it from the beginning.
The thing is...
They're probably trying to do
I was thinking maybe they were going to do a thing that they did with the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, where the Mandarin is like one of Iron Man's biggest villains. I was thinking it was going to be like, you're going to expect Mysterio to be a villain the whole time, but then at the last second, no, he's the good guy. Like, he actually is doing the right thing, and him being so obviously a good guy is what threw you off of that.
Yeah.
But then, I think the twist comes... soon enough to where that isn't a problem. Where it's like, no, he is a bad guy. My problem is that he is a little too insanely evil.
Yeah, that's I agree with that. Like, he
goes from,
like
we swindled him, to, I don't care about murdering innocents.
Yeah.
And it was like, that feels like something that needs to be established.
I feel like he was a little bit too insane to be able to act so well and not get little tics.
Well, the problem is he could if he's a sociopath. But they establish him first as someone who could be acting and someone who could be a clever thief. You know, like he's got everyone fooled. You know, he's like, what is that character? That's kind of a character archetype where it's like this guy's secretly, just sitting behind the scenes, doesn't really do anything good, but he was more like Syndrome. Mm-hmm. Well, Syndrome also was a sociopath. Syndrome didn't care about killing people. Never mind. Okay, so he's a lot like Syndrome, but I think Syndrome was done better. Because Syndrome, you get the feeling it's like, this guy's messed up.
Yeah,
he's really damaged.
From the beginning, you can tell that he's pretty...
There's something really off.
But...
and you don't meet him until he's revealed as a villain.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, Mr. Incredible kind of just deals with Mirage up to that point. But, yeah. I think there needs to be... there was kind of a disconnect where the scene that he's revealed to be a villain almost comes off as he's a blue-collar villain. Kind of like Vulture was in Homecoming. Like, he's a very relatable... You can kind of root for him, and he's trying to make something for himself and his family. Whereas Mysterio goes from that, in that initial reveal, where it's almost like he cares about all these people, to the very next time we see him, he doesn't care about any of them, and he's going to threaten them with murder if they don't do what he says. And it was like, oh, this kind of felt like a grassroots vengeance on Tony Stark, who, made enemies out of a lot of people. Not just, powerful evil people, but people who worked for him. Yeah. Him, his product being called Barf or whatever, it was like, that is a good motivation for a disgruntled, angry, guy who's just going to be like, all right, well, I'm just going to make myself famous. I'll be the new Tony Stark, and I'm not going to be as ethical about it.
Yeah, but I don't think it...
Yeah, I'm okay with killing innocents, not only killing innocents, but killing my own people and killing children.
I think maybe that could have come with all of the, the spotlight and all of the, kind of need for him now wanting to be the center of attention and wanting to be the...
Yeah, if he started to believe it.
Yeah, if he started to believe he was actually a hero.
Oh, that would have been really cool. Yeah. But I feel like they probably didn't have the runtime to do that.
Like, they weren't really able to lean into that side of it. They were he's just a psycho. He's crazy.
Yeah. I think it would have been better to establish him as more sociopathic from the beginning. Like, if that opening scene, he was kind of already forcing them to do this for him, and they weren't like, yeah, we did it, doing a toast and whatever. If he was more like, if they were afraid of him at that point, that would have been better, because that would have made sense later on. Or... don't have him be willing to kill them, or have him start getting driven to the point where he's like, I'm going to lose everything. He's like, kid, I don't want to kill you, but I'll kill you if I have to, or if it means, protecting my image, protecting this illusion. That would have worked a little better. Also, does he die in the end?
I feel like that's...
Is it supposed to be a little vague?
Maybe it's supposed to be vague, but I also feel like they're kind of hinting to that being... a turning point in Spider-Man's, becoming a hero and, kind of taking on the responsibility of actually taking someone's life.
Well, but he didn't take his life.
Did he?
No. Remember, they do this villain thing, this movie villain thing that keeps the hero squeaky clean, is the villain shoots himself. Where, there's that point where the drones say, we cannot fire. You're in the, you're in range or whatever.
You're in the firing zone or whatever.
Yeah, you're in the danger zone, and he's like, I don't care. So as a result, his drone shoots him.
I guess.
Yeah, so it's his own carelessness and getting carried away that gets himself killed, because he just wants to kill Spider-Man rather than keep himself alive. Because Spider-Man doesn't kill him. Spider-Man only stops the gunshot, which is the coolest scene in this movie. Which is where he gets his spider sense back. And, he sees through the illusion, finally. Like, he keeps getting
Closes
played by
his
it.
eyes and then,
Yeah. But then he just, boom! Stops it. And then looks up, and it's revealed. Oh, that was so cool. Yeah. But, actually, I'll say second coolest scene. The coolest scene was the illusion scene. Where it's this real surreal, like impressionistic, like nightmare that Spider-Man's being sent through.
Feels like Scarecrow, but like...
Yeah, it feels Scarecrow from the Arkham games, but with Mysterio in this movie.
Yeah.
And that's a good fit. The Iron Man coming out of the grave thing.
Yeah, that was...
That was really like, yep, that's really freaky. That's pretty upsetting. But yeah, that scene was super awesome. The little twist within a twist of Nick Fury...
Yeah.
Where it's like Nick Fury shoots him, and then he's like, comes to... Oh, no, that was after.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Nick Fury shoots Mysterio, and then he asks him, where are the kids? We need to save them. And he tells him, and he's like, you're so gullible. And then it's like, that's still Mysterio.
Yeah.
I think they did Mysterio justice, where his whole thing is illusion and deception. And that makes sense with him being kind of a sociopath, but I think maybe they could have played it to... I'm back on that thing. But they could have played it where the people working with him didn't know that he just lacked any empathy for them. Mm-hmm. Where, like, it starts to, his facade starts to fall down for them too. So he's tricking everyone.
I feel like they would have had to have more time, though.
Again, yeah. And the thing is, if he's this crazy evil, you can't really bring him back.
Yes.
And
if they do bring him back, then that whole scene at the end with the Daily Bugle is...
Yeah! Okay, yeah, that is my favorite post-credits scene of all of the MCU.
I didn't like it.
Really?
No, it made me really confused, and I was wondering what the frick.
Really?
Because, like, I had watched the whole movie, and then it's like, Spider-Man's identity's revealed now.
I thought that was so good, because it felt like...
What are we gonna do?
It felt like things were wrapped up a little too easily there at the end. I loved it. Like, especially... Okay, so I had a feeling that was a weird word choice, where Spider-Man says, execute them, for executing the protocols to disable all the drones. Mm-hmm. When he just says, execute them, I was like, that was a weird choice in the script. And then later on, it's like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Also, freaking J.K. Simmons is back as J. Jonah Jameson. That made my day.
Like, everyone in the theater was, whoa!
Everyone was freaking, and they were like, oh my god! Because you can't do a live action JJJ anymore if it isn't J.K. Simmons. Like, in all of Sam Raimi's movies, the most unrecastable character was JJJ, and that's why they didn't do it for Amazing Spider-Man, because it's like, well, we're not going to do that better, so we just can't touch it. Yep. And then I had a feeling it's like, well, they're just not going to do that with the MCU, because you can't do it better. So they decided, well, we can't do it better, so we'll just do it the same. But I liked how it was a little updated, where J.K. Simmons is more like...
He's an anchor instead of a news...
Yeah, and he's an internet news columnist, where it's like, that's way more relevant just because no one reads the newspaper.
Yeah.
I think if
and
Amazing
he's an anchor, so it's like visual.
Yeah, it's more him. He's the personality. He's the character. You shouldn't just be.
It's not just a tabloid guy.
Yeah, and it's believable because that character is so charismatic and fun to listen to. It's like, people would love him.
People would love to watch him.
Yeah. So. And yeah, the reveal where it's like, it shows Peter Parker as Spider-Man to everyone. And that closing shot where he's just like that was perfect. That's ridiculous. That made me so excited for the next movie. I was just like, what is happening? Like, everything seemed like it went back to normal.
Yeah.
But like, Spider-Man grew, but we're all going back to, everything's back to normal. And he has the wholesome scene where it's like, well, now Mary Jane doesn't like, compared to the old Mary Jane, she doesn't like how fast and scary the web slinging is.
Yeah.
But that was a good scene. And it was kind of a good throwback to the old Spider-Man. Right before having the best throwback to the old Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, that was just like, everything's back to normal. Spider-Man has grown. And then nothing is normal now. Now everything's blowing up. Yeah, that's how you get me excited for another movie. If I wasn't already excited enough. Mm-hmm. And then they revealed that this Nick Fury that's been making strange mistakes this whole time, wasn't Nick Fury. It was the Skrull guy from...
I wonder if that Nick Fury was the one that was on...
If he was at the wedding?
Oh.
Not wedding. That was a joke. The funeral. They told Tom Holland that it was a wedding.
Yeah, right.
So that he wouldn't spoil the script. But yeah, at the funeral. I wonder if that was that Nick Fury. It makes it to where you can't know who's Nick Fury, and that's how it should work. Like, he's a super spy.
Yeah.
You never know if Nick Fury's actually here or what his motives are.
How long has
could have been
Nick Fury just been relaxing on the ship?
Multiple Nick Furies could have just been the Skrull guy posing as Nick Fury. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. Also, that was teasing the creation of S.W.O.R.D., which is the division of S.H.I.E.L.D. that is in space, which you kind of are going to need since everything's going to space now.
Yeah.
Like, everything already kind of went to space, but the Eternals are coming. That's going to be a movie. They're all from space, just like Guardians of the Galaxy, except I don't think there's a single Earthling among them. They're all, like, demigods from space. So, one of them is Angelina Jolie. I think that's one of the only confirmed actors.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But anyway, good movie.
Good movie.
I liked it.
Yeah.
It made me realize that closure is not what I want. I just want more.
Mm-hmm. And it was a really good rom-com, and it was a really good hero movie. And
it was a good
coming of age movie, and it was really good. Like, it's the perfect coming of age hero movie. Like,
it's such a good
amazing.
mishmash.
Yeah.
And
they always have the ending scene where, like, at the credits, they have, like, their own, like, little style, and it makes me think of
I love this
coming of age movie.
And I love this. The Homecoming did it. Into the Spider-Verse kind of does it.
Yeah.
Shazam did it.
Yeah.
And Far From Home did it.
I love that people are doing that.
I love that look, that kind of craft paper credits sequence.
Yeah.
Where it looks kind of a little more practical. Mm-hmm. And it's got this fun montage feel to it.
And the music, too, is really fun and upbeat.
Yes. God.
Oh.
So good. Yeah. Also a cool thing. I like how this movie, like the Spider-Man movies, feel very different from all the other MCU movies.
Yeah.
They feel so much more, not really nostalgic, but they feel more kid-friendly in that they're still kind of about a kid. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Into the Spider-Verse felt, but like Into the Spider-Verse was a cartoon, so of course it felt like that.
Yeah.
This feels very much like a movie made for 13, 14, 15-year-olds. Like, whereas the other MCU movies are, very general audience, mm-hmm. little kids up to, any age comic book fan. These also feel like they're aimed at they're a little more specific with their demographic, and I like that. Mm-hmm. It's, adds some variety. But yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Go watch it.
It's good.
Mm-hmm. Slaps.
Web slapping.
Yeah.